got ourselves a Silverado here. Well, a Sierra, I guess. But the engine's not running too great. Customers already replaced all the coils, all the plugs, all the wires, and seems to still have a misfire. I know you ain't gonna be able to see it on that, like in the camera, but this engine's shaking pretty good. And with the Autofix, I was able to figure out what was wrong with this thing. So let's get into it. So I say the Autofix helped me because the snap-on actually let me down. I think they did an update. I mean, I know I did an update, but I think it broke it because I can't see live data on this truck with the snap-on for some reason. But I grabbed this little Autofix and it will do the live data that I needed. We go in here and do misfire. We can see where we're misfiring at least. So you can see we get a couple on number 2 here. When we scroll down, we get 5 and 7 are showing some misfires there. And one thing that I liked about this tool, come on. It's gonna glitch out too. So maybe there's something wrong with the truck, but it was working fine just a minute ago. But anyways, one thing I like about this is in the special functions here, we get this misfire graphic. I know y'all are probably gonna get some pretty bad glare, but there we go. You can see our engine speed. You can see we got a misfire on 7 and 5. So, do we actually have 2 cylinders misfiring? Well, yes. They are misfiring. And the snap-on, I used my scope, went across all the coils. All my coils are firing. I got good burn lines on everything. But 5 and 7 was a little different than the rest of them. So then I'm thinking, well, maybe fuel. So I used the Autofix here and figured out what was wrong with this thing. And let me shut this truck off and we'll go over the same test that helped me figure this out. Let's just cut the engine off, key on. I went in and done the fuel injector balance test, and this is where you're going to need a fuel gauge. Luckily, this engine's got a tap. We can just thread our gauge right into, and I've already bled out all the air out of the line. And as you can see, we're holding good steady pressure. This is going to tell you make sure all the lines are connected and stuff. And now we're going to do basically a balance check of these injectors to see what they drop pressure to. So let's get this where both of these are in the same picture here. If I hit injector number 1, it's going to procedure in progress. It's priming the pump, and now it's dropping the pressure. You see we're about 35. Okay, so let's go on to injector number 2. Do the same thing. It's going to prime the pump, and then it's going to flow the injector. About 35, 34, 35. Okay, let's keep going. So injector number 3, about 35 again. Let's go to number 4. About the same, 35-ish. And generally I try to do this when the engine's cold, because heat in the fuel rail will cause the fuel to basically boil, and it'll throw this test off just a little bit. So generally, I try to do this cold, but for this video it's going to be fine. Let's get down to our injector number 5, and we're going to prime, and nothing. That's a little strange. Let's go to 6. Okay, 6 is working. All right, now let's go next page over. We'll go to 7. Primed. Nothing. Okay. 8 is primed and flow. So that's a little strange. Our number 5 and number 7 don't actually flow anything. Can we condemn the injectors yet? No. This is where I basically stopped and thought, hey, I'll pick up the camera and film this because this is kind of cool. But now we need to actually verify that 5 and 7 injectors are getting electrically controlled. They got to have power and they got to have command. So we can do that scope checking with the Vars again, because of course this thing don't have a scope with it, and we need to know that yes, our PCM is controlling the injector and that it's got power going to it. And really the easiest way is just a scope. Some of you use Noid lights. Noid lights are fine for these injectors. I don't own a Noid light though, so we're going to just use a scope. And so we got the Vars set up here on injector number 3, and you can see our 12 volt here, and then our control, and basically this is firing the injector, and then when it turns the injector off, we get this inductive spike, and of course it gets clipped. It's clipping around probably about 115 volts or so, something like that. And then when it drops down, you can see how we have this little bit of a hump and a slope back down right here. That's the actual pintle closing. So this is no good. We're going to take and screenshot this because I'm sure you guys can't actually see this too well on the camera. And we're going to switch this over to number 5 and then to 7 and check this out again. All right, got it in number 5. And you can see we get our 12 volts here, our command on, our off, but yet, see how this just kind of slopes down and it's flat? We don't have that actual, like, a little bit of a shelf before it drops off again. There's no pintle movement in this. So let's screenshot this. So yeah, there's no pintle movement in number 5, but electrically, it is solid. There's nothing wrong with it. So let's swap over to number 7 now. And you can see we've got our 12 volts, our command, and the same thing. We get our inductive spike, and we have no pintle movement either. So hopefully y'all understand this, how it's like just coming straight down and flatlining back out. We don't have like a little bit of a shelf where the pintle is moving and then dropping back off. So let's save this one. So yeah, this truck needs 2 fuel injectors. All right, got the 2 injectors swapped out in this thing, and misfire counter or graph still shows a little something on number 2 every now and then. So I'm almost wondering if number 2 might have something going on with it also. But we're back into number 5 here, the injector. You can see we've got our good control, our induction spike there, and hopefully now you can see that little shelf with a little slope there. So definitely a lot better than it was. We may dig into this number 2 just a little bit more, because what I found in these injectors, let's see if I can get this to where you can see in here. Yeah, I'm not real sure if I can get you in there or not. Let's see if we can put these under the microscope and look in here, because one of them's pretty bad. Let's see. I doubt you'll be able to see in there. Let's go to the microscope, see if we can look into this. I couldn't get the microscope to really see down in the holes, but using the borescope here, yeah, there's some crud down in there. This one was number 5, but let's look at number 7 here. Number 7's definitely the worst out of the two. Yeah, all that gunk down in there. That's crazy, ain't it? Look, it's almost like completely like plugged up in there. There we go. That's nuts. So definitely some kind of trash in this fuel system. So I won't be surprised if it's going to need a number 2 injector also. But we'll drive it and see how it goes and leave it up to the customer if he wants to go further with it or not. He brought it for basically dead miss, you know, drivability issues and stuff like that. So we'll take it for a spin, see how she drives, and if it needs another injector, maybe we'll get it, or try to talk them into doing all 8 of them, because this is bad. There, we got the misfire counter pulled up on the D1 Lite here, and right now we've got no misfires on anything. So a little bit of number 1 there. Oh, it's gonna make me buckle my seatbelt up. I was wanting to graph these, but on this little thing, it will only let me graph 4 at a time. So let's, well, 5, it says 5. So we'll pick 5 there too. Well, we can still see 6 and 7 right there. I think I must have unchecked 8 by accident. But let's just take for a little trip down the road, see how it goes. Oh, got the parking brake on. That's what it's fussing about. We do have check engine light still on, but I haven't cleared the codes. But she's driving smooth, and nothing really counting. Something had a little bit of like 1 there, but for the most part, she's driving smooth. So let me take this around the block or something and see how it does. All right, so history misfires. This, if you're looking at live misfire counters, like up here, sometimes you'll get like 1 or 2, like if you kind of like just kind of burp the throttle or cruise like and then let out or something, you might get like 1 or 2 reports, but those don't really matter. If they start accumulating down here in history, that's when I'd start to worry about it. But as you can see, there's nothing that was bad enough to count for a history, and currently nothing in live. I must have touched something. And yeah, everything's looking real good with it. It drove out just fine, so no issues. I think we're gonna give it back to the customer and let him have a go with it for a few days and see what he thinks. But as for me and this little guy, as for a review, I would say this thing is pretty good for the money. It's only let me down a couple times, but I mean, this is their entry-level scan tool. it does a lot of stuff, like way more stuff than what any of the little generic ODB to connector like stuff you'll get at like part stores. Way better than any of that stuff. So it's pretty good. I like it. The only thing that I've noticed is every now and then there's some things missing, like active test wise, that another tool might have. But like for instance, the other day I was looking at I can't remember, it was some kind of Chevrolet truck, was looking at some gauge issues with an oil pressure gauge or something like that, and I just wanted to sweep the gauges. Well, it didn't have it, but on this truck, it's got it. So I'm pretty sure this is it. Nope, that's lamps. So nope. So yeah, it doesn't do the gauges on this truck either, where it will actually sweep the gauges. Like if you do some of these will do a key off, key on, like when you crank them. This one just kind of like resets the needles down. Another tool that I have, I will sweep these gauges. So I don't know if that's just like one of the things they took out of this thing for it to be more price conscious or something. I don't know. But that's only like one of the few things that I've found that it won't do. So overall, for price and what this thing does, I'd give this thing a pretty solid recommendation. I'm pretty happy with it. I've actually been using this a lot the past week or two, where I just grab it because it's small, it's easy. The reports look real good when they get emailed to me, like so I can attach to the customer's repair order and stuff like that. So I really like it. I'm really impressed with it. And of course it's Autel software. Everything about this is Autel. I mean, it's pretty amazing. So check it out, guys. I've got it linked on my Amazon store. If you're in the market for just a little cheap scan tool, you know, keep it to the house or whatever. And another thing, the battery on this thing. By the way, the battery, you see we're down to 8%. I've charged this thing one time since I've gotten it. I think twice. No, I've charged it twice. Today's Thursday, and I haven't charged it all week for a fact. So battery life's pretty good. I'm real happy with it. But I think that's where we're gonna leave this. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you guys later.